Hi, I'm Mark. I have an oven in my car and little to no experience in baking. Join me as I bake in my car.
Welcome to another episode of Baked in My Car. Today we're on the way to go camping in Wiradjuri country, and we're going to make a delicious morning tea snack on the way. Chocolate croissants. Here are the ingredients you're going to need. And here's a list you can screenshot for later. Now on to the bake. First thing you got to do is fill your car with fuel. After you've recovered from the financial pain of realising your car cost $300 to fill, preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. After that, close up the oven and hit the road. We're travelling from the inner west of Sydney over to the other side of the Blue Mountains, and it's going to take about 2.5 hours. About an hour in, pull over and crack an egg into a bowl. This is the first step of making an egg wash for our pastries, so we got to whisk it. Use a fork and whisk it till it looks something like this. If you didn't want to mess around with this on the side of the road, you could do this at home before you leave and have it ready to go when you make the pastry. Now let's get on to the puff pastry. Pull your puff pastry out of the fridge and make sure you give it enough time to thaw. The puff pastry comes in a square sheet, but I cut it into triangles at home so I wouldn't have to mess with it on the side of the road. The next thing you gotta do is break some chocolate squares up and then put them onto the pastry. I find 1 to 2 pieces is about the right amount. Now roll the pastry with the chocolate into a croissant shape like this. Make sure the pastry is defrosted, otherwise it'll crack. Don't be afraid to experiment with your shapes. This piece of pastry was possibly a little bit big, and it turned out a bit funny, but we're not going for a Michelin star anyway. The next step is to brush the egg wash onto the pastry. We do this so that it takes on a golden colour when it's baked. If you don't have a brush, you can get one from the supermarket for pretty cheap. Next thing we're going to do is whack the pastries onto a preheated and lined oven tray. This Travel Buddy specific oven tray came from Somerville Metalworks, and the silicone baking tray that I'm using came from Activated Eco, and I did a review in a previous episode. I'll put a link in the description. Now, whack them back in the oven until the pastry's browned. Now that morning tea's sorted, it's time to hit the road again. I look a bit serious in this. I think I was listening to a true crime podcast and it was pretty early in the morning. I was so engrossed in my podcast that I forgot to flip the pastries. Make sure you do this about halfway. If you can smell them, you've waited too long and they may be a little bit burnt. Still tasty though. Shortly after flipping the pastry, things got a little bit more exciting. I met up with my friends, we entered the national park, and then we did a little bit of four-wheel driving. Now check out my mate Dave's new Delica. It looks a little bit like a jelly bean, it's got more space inside than I could ever dream of having in the FJ, and he's put an oven in it. Let me know if you think I should do an episode in the Delica. Now, pull the slightly burnt pastries out of the oven. Yours will look better, I promise. Now the only thing left to do is to make a cup of tea and enjoy your pastries. These don't look the best, but they tasted good and we had fun making them. Share them with your friends. Hopefully yours are a little bit more candid when you point a camera at them.
And there you have it. Chocolate croissants, all pastries of various shapes, all baked in your car. Thank you for watching Baked in My Car. Make sure to like and subscribe and to follow us on Instagram at Baked in My Car.